Hey guys, this is Mr. Grice for Algebra Unit 6.2 Notes. Today we're talking about multiplying and dividing monomial expressions. Now, if you want to take a sheet of paper out, first we're going to talk about different types of terms, okay? So on here I've written down one term, two terms, and three terms, okay? So in case you didn't know, one term expression can look like that. That's just an example, okay? Two terms could look like that. And if we have three terms could look like that. Now, each one of these has a different name for it, okay? We have a monomial, a binomial, and a trinomial. Okay, so those are the three things that you might see. Now, remember that coefficients determine how many terms, okay? It just doesn't mean which one is longer. And pieces are split up by addition and subtraction signs. So if you notice, a monomial just has one thing in it, where a binomial is split into two because of the subtraction sign. A trinomial has one, two, three pieces, okay? So a monomial does not have any addition or subtraction signs, okay? And now, the other thing that we need to talk about are, let's see, reducing, okay? So if we have, not reducing, we're going to talk about division, fractions. If we have 1/2 times, well, let's talk about multiplication first. Sorry about this, guys. 1/2 times 3/4. When we're multiplying, we just go straight across. 1 times 3 is 3, and 2 times 4 is 8. Okay? Does everybody agree with that? But if this is changed to division, we can't divide fractions. So instead of dividing fractions, we need to multiply by the reciprocal. And what the reciprocal means is that we have to flip that second fraction, and then we change it to division, or to multiplication. Oh my gosh, I need to wake up. Okay, so we multiply by the reciprocal. That's what this step is right here. Multiply by the reciprocal. We flip the second fraction, and now we can do the same thing. We're going to multiply across. 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. And at this point, we always check to see if we can reduce. And we can divide the top and bottom by 2. And we get 2/3. So that would be my reduced fraction. Okay? Now, we're going to do this type of work, except now we're going to be doing it with one-term monomials. Okay? So, our learning target today is to be able to apply the properties of exponents in order to multiply or divide monomial expressions. So a monomial expression means that you do not have any addition or subtraction signs. Okay? So when we're multiplying, you must multiply the top, which is the numerator, and then multiply the bottom, the denominator. And then you always reduce if possible. Okay? So we're going to multiply first and then reduce. Okay? So we multiply the top with the top and the bottom with the bottom. So when we multiply the top, 2 times 6, 2 times 6 is 12. X squared times x4, remember we add the exponents, so we get x6, and then we're left with y cubed. Okay? Now remember that the x and the y have an exponent of 1. There's no coefficient, so the 3 stays. We have x to the 6th, and then we just have y to the 1st. So now that we've done that, we need to reduce, okay? So 12 divided by 3, well, 12 divided by 3 is 4. Who wins with your x's, the top or the bottom? Well, they're the same, so they cancel out. And then who wins with the y's, the top or the bottom? Okay, the top wins, and the top wins by 2. So y squared. And everything cancels out. It cancels out over 1, but since we're talking about division, or the numerator, we don't put a 1 underneath. Okay? All right, let's look at example number 2. So, let's worry about the top. Negative 5 times 6 gives us negative 30. M to the 4th and m squared gives us m 6th. And then n to the 4th. Okay, on the bottom, 2 times negative 4 gives us negative 8. M to the 8th is 2 plus 6 is 8, and then n to the 7th power. Okay? And now let's go ahead and reduce. Now remember, you can use your fractions or your calculator to help you reduce. Say if you have negative 30 divided by negative 8. Well, my calculator makes it look funny, so it gives me a decimal. I don't want a decimal. So I divide it out, and I get 15 over 4. So 15 is my numerator. 4 is my denominator. Let's look who wins with the m's, the top or the bottom. Okay, the bottom wins, and the bottom wins by 2. And now who wins with the n's, the top or the bottom? The bottom, and the bottom wins by 3. Okay, so I'm just going to move my 15 so it's in the middle. And so I have 15 over 4m squared n cubed. And there we go. Okay, so we multiply first and then reduce. Guys, even when we have negative numbers, they might cancel out. So multiply across. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. X squared plus x to the negative 7th. So we're doing 2 plus negative 7, and that gives us negative 5. Okay, and that first y has an exponent of 1, so y cubed. Okay, now on the bottom, when you do your x's, you have 4 plus negative 3, which gives us x to the first power. I forgot about the 6. And then y squared. Okay? So remember, if your exponent's negative, we have to drop it like it's hot. So I'm going to move my negative exponents, and so we have negative 12 y cubed over 6. Remember that x1 is down there. We just brought an x to the 6th, and that y squared is still there. Okay, don't be a math magician. Don't make things suddenly disappear. Okay, negative 12 divided by 6 gives us negative 2. On the bottom, there are 6 y's. Sorry, that for some reason I wrote the wrong number there. That should have been x5. But x1 plus x5 gives us x6. And then when we're looking at the y's, the top wins, and the top wins by 1. So negative 2y over x to the 6th power is our final answer. Okay? Now, on the bottom, just like we were doing over here when we had to multiply by the reciprocal, we had to flip the fraction. We're going to do the same thing here. Okay, you multiply by the reciprocal, which means we flip the second fraction. And then we multiply the top, multiply the bottom, and reduce if necessary. Okay? So let's go ahead and do that. You always got to make sure that there is division. Okay? And to keep track of everything, I'm just going to highlight it. I know that I'm going to need to flip. Now my first fraction stays the same. 10w5 x8 over negative 2w4 x squared. I'm changing it to division, or changing it to multiplication. The green's going to go on the top, and the blue's on the bottom. Okay? So that's how I know that I did everything right. And guys, those exponents stay negative, even though like, well, I flipped them. We flipped them for the problem. Okay? Now, multiply across. 10 times 5 gives us 50. 5 minus 2 gives us negative 2. And then positive 8 and negative 2 gives us positive 6. On the bottom, we still have negative 2, w to the 4th, x to the 5th, because we got 2 plus 5. Okay? So now I've got some negative exponents. So I've got a negative exponent. I'm going to drop it like it's hot. That's the only thing I'm going to do. The w to the 4, x5, and then we just brought down a w squared. Okay? Now, let's look at negative 50 over negative 2, or 50 over negative 2. When we reduce that, we get negative 25. I have more x's on top. I just have 1. And then on the bottom, we have w to the 6th power. Okay, so negative 25x, w to the 6th. Okay, the only thing that's different now is that first step, where when we see division, I know that we have to flip. And we have to make sure to keep track. Okay? So we have 13 a to the 5th, b to the negative 3rd, over negative 4, a6, b to the 4th. That first part stays the same. We're going to change to multiply, and we're going to multiply by the reciprocal, which means the yellow comes up and the gray goes to the bottom. And all the exponents stay the same right now. Okay, I'm going to write b to the 1st so I remember. And then we have negative 2, a squared, b to the 8th. Okay. Let's multiply straight across. 13 times negative 2 gives me negative 26. A to the 7th and b to the 5th. Remember, we got the 5th because it's negative 3 plus 8. Okay, on the bottom we still have negative 4. 6 minus 4 gives us 2, and 4 plus 1 gives us 5. Okay. So we have negative 26 a7 b to the 5th over negative 4 a squared b to the 5th. Using my calculator, I've got negative 26 divided by negative 4, 6.5, and when I turn that into a fraction, I get 13 over 2. So I know 13's on the top, 2's on the bottom. I'll make that, sorry guys, I'll make that look like an actual 2. And now looking at the A's, the top wins by 5. And looking at the B's, they both cancel out. So we're left with 13a to the 5th over 2. All right, guys, why don't you pause the video and see if you can do the first step on your own. Good luck. Okay, so you should have gotten 3m squared n to the first over m to the fourth n squared times 6m to the negative third over negative 4m to the negative seventh n squared. Okay, so let's multiply straight across. 3 times 6 gives us 18. 2 minus, or 2 plus negative 3 gives us negative 1. And then we have n to the first power. Okay? So we have no coefficient, so it stays negative 4. M to the negative 3, n to the fourth power. Okay? Now, if your exponent's negative, you drop it like it's hot. If it's already on the bottom, bring it to the top. All right? So we have 18 n to the first, and then we're bringing up m cubed. On the bottom, we have negative 4 n to the fourth, and remember that m to the first stayed up top, or came down. Okay? So now let's write our final answer. We want to reduce the 18 over negative 4, turn it into a fraction, and we get negative 9 over 2. Okay, alphabetical order, so the m's come first. I have more on the top, and I have 2 more. And now I'm going to look at the n's. The bottom wins, and the bottom wins by 3. So we have negative 9m squared over 2n cubed. Okay, let's go ahead and flip it over. Now, these first couple ones should be a review. Okay, now, looking at number 1. Okay, guys, this is the 6.2 practice. Okay. Oh, practice, aka your homework. I'm not going to do your homework for you guys. Psych, almost did it. Okay, so this is your homework. If you have any questions, please come see Ms. Carranza or myself because we would love to help you out. Otherwise, this is Mr. Grice signing off for Algebra Unit 6.2 Notes. Thanks for watching.